Hello, this is Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to see a very straightforward yet complex topic. This topic, it's about human interaction. So let's get started. So let's get started with the communication and the interaction between people, and the approach that we're going to use today is going to be human to human, H2H. This approach is actually a marketing approach that creates or improves the interaction between people using a very specific mindset and a very specific way of interacting with the others. But before entering into the topic, let's think about the big picture, what we have today. A couple of years ago, we shifted into a new digital era, the digital transformation. We accelerated the connected objects. We moved a lot into virtualization, and everything that is digital or digitized was very much accelerated. Yet all those technical resources that were created for us, for our benefit, for our well-being, also created a sort of distancing or emotional distancing between people. Then we had the pandemic, where we all know that it became mandatory to keep the distance between people. So what we already started to have in the digital transformation was accelerated also by the pandemic. And this is why it's very useful now to think about a mechanism that could help us reinstate our human communication and our human interaction with the others. And what human to human actually does is to create a sort of hierarchy or a series of layers for the needs that we all have. And the very first needs, or the primary needs that are present in all of us, are the basic need for food, for water, for shelter, for sleep, and so on and so forth. So everything that we need to be alive. As soon as we have the very first layer fulfilled, then there are the safety needs. And if for the primary needs we have shelter, then for the safety needs we have a house or a property. Among the safety needs we have also our health. So when we care about our health is a part of the safety needs. And having an employment, having a job, it's also a security need. So it might be any kind of, so I said job, but it might be having a business or having a resource activity that we can develop to ensure our security and our safety needs. Then we have the emotional needs, and for the emotional needs, of course, we have the family, we have love, we have the friendship with others. It's everything that relates to our emotional state of mind, and everything that is related to the others. Then we have the esteem, where we have the respect of others to us. We have the self-respect. We have the freedom. We have the recognition. We have everything that relates to our status and to our position regarding the others as human beings. And then at the very top of the layers, we have the auto update or the self actualization, where it's actually the state where we want to be or what we want to become. That's really the top, the main mission that we have in our life, as soon as all the other needs are correctly fulfilled. So this is what human to human actually does. It's making a few steps back to what we all need. So to give you an example and why it's relevant to think about all those needs, let's imagine that I'm interacting with a person and that person is thirsty. And I don't ask that person if he or they are feeling good, if they had lunch. So I might try to interact with a person and the result of our interaction to be a specific one, just because that person has some needs which are not fulfilled, and I'm not asking for them. I'm not asking about how that person is feeling. And then a potential outcome is not to have a good communication or a good interaction with that person, simply because that person, before starting to interact with us, would need a cup of water. So it's very, very important to think about what we all need, and then that each one of us is in a different state, most probably. We have different or similar personalities, but still we are unique. Each one of us is unique. And we need to consider that, because the perception of the hierarchy of needs might be different from one person to another. Some persons do have certain habits, some persons not to have them. So it's really a human universe in terms of possibilities, and everyone is perfect in their own way. So this is very, very critical for driving a good interaction and a good communication with others. If we look into the mirror, what we can see is that we have 2 years and 1 month. So by nature, we are designed to listen more and talk less. So one of the recommendations of the human-to-human approach is to listen more and talk less. I would take the 80-20 rule, not Pareto, but the 80-20 rule, where we listen 80% of the time and we talk 20% of the time, because this could ensure a major attention to the other persons, because I'm noticing from time to time that in some interactions, before one person ends the phrase or the idea, the other person continues, follows up, or break the conversation with a different idea. And that's not very useful for driving an effective and positive communication. So it's better to wait for one person to end the idea, to see exactly what they want to say, and then to continue talking. Talking at the same time is not good. Being silent, multiple people or the 2 people at the same time is not good either. It's better to balance and to switch from one person to another and really to continue our ideas, but by creating this kind of chain from one person to another without any cuts. Then what we can also do is to put ourselves in the other shoes. And again, it could be in our private life. So it could be to put ourselves in the shoes of a family member or a friend, of our partner, but also in the business environment. So if we think about customers, in customer service, in sales, putting ourselves in the shoes of the customer, of the other person, is very, very useful, because we might find some shortcuts in solving the problem and getting the objective done. And this is unwritten non-verbal communication in some cases, because while we are focused on the other person and we are not trying to visualize or to project our life to the other person. So don't get me wrong, I don't think about projecting myself to another person and imagining that person is me. No. Putting myself in the other shoes would be, okay, I don't know if that person is thirsty or not, had lunch or not, if that person had a good day or a bad day. I don't know a lot. I don't know pretty much anything about that person. And more I'm trying to listen and to understand that person, closer I'll be and more effective I will become. Then an expression that I like a lot is I'll do my best. Thinking about, for instance, about an interview or a very important meeting, there are cases where we think I will do my best, I will try to be best version of myself. I personally cannot be a better version than I am. So what I can do is really to highlight the superpowers, the strengths that I have, and really to explain the way that I'm working on my weaknesses. But I prefer to be myself and to remain myself. Of course, there are situations where, I don't know, by nature, by cultural reasons, we try to seem somebody else. I would say, be honest, be you. It's more appropriate. It's a personal consideration. To be transparent is another very important topic that we need to use when applying human to human. To be transparent and to avoid ambiguities is that in some cases there might be, I don't know, a different perception, misperception, or even the other person might not realize what's our point. To think about an example is that I'm going to a park, and there I meet a friend, and we chit chat, we discuss about everything, and suddenly I say, I bought an umbrella. And that person, that friend, would remain like this. Okay, what's your point? Is going to rain, or why are you telling me that you bought an umbrella? Is that by being transparent and avoiding ambiguities, is better to say that By the way, you know that this morning I saw the weather and I can see that it's 2 o'clock and it might rain. So what I did was to buy an umbrella. I found out a very cheap yet qualitative umbrella at the entrance of the park. So really to be transparent in our ideas, and if there is a topic that we are not comfortable with, then to simply say it and to recognize it. So I'm not feeling comfortable to discussing about this, and that's it, but not popping out ideas or cutting some ideas at certain points, because then the ambiguities and the lack of full transparency might create some blockers in our communication. Then it's very important to take the responsibility. And when I'm saying taking the responsibility, I know that we are all doing it. Yet, it might happen for me to confirm a meeting at 4 p.m. and to get there or to connect at 4:20. I need to assume what I'm saying. So if I cannot join till 4:20, then I need to take my responsibility. And if a critical matter occurs, then I need to advise prior to the meeting date, really to advise, sorry, I have a critical situation. I will join later, 20 minutes after the hour, and that's it. But to take our responsibility. Another example of taking the responsibility is about being, can be connected also with being polite. It's great being polite. It is a social mechanism that creates much nicer image about our society and our humankind. So it's very important to be polite. But when we are polite, and that's it, like we say, if you need anything, you can count on me. That person might take it seriously. So that person might reach me when they need something. And then what could happen would be me not to take anymore my responsibility and to say, okay, thanks for sharing, but I'm sorry, I cannot help. So taking responsibility is very, very important, and responsibility is also linked with the building of trust and long-term good relationship with people. So it's very, very important to take the responsibility. Yet we have a lot of situations in life, and we need to adapt. So to be flexible as much as we can, and as much as we can responsibilize, again, it's very, very important too. So it's important to be flexible, to accept different points of view, to accept the different feedbacks, to see the other person's opinion about us, about what we are doing. It's very, very useful, even if it's not always pleasant, but it depends on what we want. Then we get back to the esteem need, because in some cases what we need is to have this self-esteem, or we need to project a certain status, and in other cases we might want to improve and continuously improve. And in that second case, what we want to hear is constructive feedback, different recommendations from others, just to see which are the pain points that the others are seeing in our life, in our personality, and in our projects. And then it's very important to be decided. So really to know, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm going to do. Share it with the others. And if we don't want to do something anymore, so we decide to stop, to do it, but also to be transparent when sharing that message. So really not to avoid to go with the wind, and the others not to be sure exactly what we want to do, like the umbrella example that we saw, or about our direction, our vision, where we want to be, how we want to be there, which are the consequences that we are ready to assume, how we want to mitigate the risk, and so on and so forth. So, but to be decided. And never, ever, ever forget that we are all humans. If we keep in mind that we are humans and we interact with other humans, that could be very, very useful. So that would be the overall presentation of the human-to-human approach. What I would like to add yet, just to be, again, as transparent as possible, is that from an economical standpoint, we are living into a quite sensitive period. And in these kind of periods, what might happen is some people to approach us using the exact same mechanism that we just discussed, or we just saw together, to use the human approach to get a benefit from us. And what I'm referring here is actually the scam and the people that are inviting us to click to a link, or to open an email, or to pay some money to get rich over the night, or to play a game and to receive money for each level that we achieve. So all those people that are using exactly the same approach are to be ignored. So when I'm referring to the human-to-human approach, I'm referring to the human-to-human approach in standard human conditions. Keep in mind that getting rich over the night is not possible. There are a lot of documentaries about scams, about how it's working, about how the very same mechanisms are continuously used, and unfortunately some people are getting along with that, so they are suffering. But please keep in mind that the human approach is a positive one for humans to improve together, not one human to have a benefit and the other not. So that's the video for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give us a like. If you have any kind of comment, any kind of constructive feedback, anything to address, leave a comment below. And I wish you a perfect day. See you soon. Bye bye.